Robots Radio presents
Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
I'm not usually a hat fan, but wow.
Jeg vil ikke være en dagger.
I'm really sipping on that dumb bitch juice today, and
Yeah, I am. But you know what? Someday I just might grow out of that. But you will never stop being a jerk.
All chocolate cakes are good. You're a fascist.
it's hideous.
It's horrible.
It's home. Angry white boy, let's go!
Hello, and welcome to Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast. The podcast that does 7 impossible things before breakfast. That's Simone LaRue.
And that's Chad Ekowitz. How charming.
I'm always about one-upping anything. So if we do 7 impossible things before breakfast, then Alice can suck it, basically. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Is that also your condensed review for the movies?
Yeah, exactly. The fact that I think these 2 films got greenlit in the first place is a pretty impossible thing.
I could see the first one. I'm not sure what happened with the second one.
But I think, yeah, we'll get into it. I mean,
yeah.
our listeners who don't read the titles of the film, the titles of the episode, don't know that we spoke about it last week. They're just like wondering what's going on. They're racking their brains for what these films are. So shall we put them out of their misery? What are we doing this week, Simone?
We are doing Disney's latest iterations of Alice in Wonderland. That is the 2010 Alice in Wonderland and 2016's It's Through the Looking Glass, correct? Yes.
That is correct. Yes. But is it really through the looking glass when they went through a mirror? I mean, I guess it's the looking glass. I guess.
A mirror is a looking glass.
But I thought like a looking glass was like a small mirror, not like a big mirror. Or is it just like a general term?
I'm going to feel real dumb if I answer super confidently either way.
But you're white. That's what we do best. Is just answer things that we don't know super confidently.
I do love being a know-it-all, but...
It's always funny. I love seeing older white men do that when they have no idea what the topic is, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, this is," and you're like, "What? You haven't studied psychology ever? You nonsense talker!"
I just want that level
impressive.
of confidence, though.
I think we would do so much better in job interviews if we had that level of confidence. That is actually a thing we need to remind ourselves of when we go into job interviews.
Honestly, that is what I try to channel. And also just, faking it. Yeah, I love going the extra mile. I definitely want to be part of your, whatever fucking millennial term they're using, your ninja squad of rock stars.
Team player, I have that tattooed on my forearms.
I definitely didn't look up your mission statement beforehand and specifically tailor my answers around the buzzwords of that statement.
It's honestly incredible what hoops we have to jump through. I do feel sometimes like a dolphin who is just playing for scraps, playing for fish,
If I get asked why I want that job one more time, I need money.
Is that your worst one? Is that the worst question they could ask you? Because for me, it's why are we different from any other company that you've applied to? That one grates my soul. That physically hurts.
Because you can't be like, well, you're not really.
Yeah, you're still you're a capitalistic corporation who just does things to make money. You are literally no different to anyone else. It's fine. Everything's fine. We're happy.
Great.
It's fine. It's 2021. It's the trilogy. This is the 3rd year where everything goes off the rails, and we're going to have fun with it.
Trump is no longer president. That's fun as of recording.
True. Yes, that is an exciting little tidbit. And all the Bernie memes, I know when this comes out, that's going to be really old. But I am loving the Bernie memes.
Oh,
I think
man.
they are
It has made my day.
That guy is a dream come true. Love him as as just a human being. Perfect man. Yeah. But talking of unperfect men, should we do Alice in Wonderland and just rip into it?
Yes, but first, Chad, what are you drinking?
I have returned to my tiny beers in their tiny little glass tiny bottles. So I'm drinking Brasserie. It's an imported premium lager, and it comes in at a very charming 4%. And what are you drinking over in alcohol ban land?
So I might be able to source some alcohol next week.
Oh. Bootlegger Simone is back. This is my favorite Simone.
I'm not buying, I'm not selling, nothing illegal. Definitely nothing illegal. But I might be able to source some.
That's very impressive. So what are you sourcing? Like what are you sourcing for next week? And then have you sourced anything for this week?
No. So next weekend I'm hoping to get a hold of a bit of wine, maybe a vodka. And then this week I'm still having a lovely rock shandy with homemade lemonade, and some bitters.
Ah, lovely, lovely. That sounds really, really delightful. Is it refreshing? Because I can imagine it's also very hot in South Africa right now.
So hot. This has actually been really nice to have this summer. Is a lovely lemonade.
It's quite fancy as well. I can imagine you sitting out on the porch, on the veranda, watching the boys play polo.
I need more straws actually to drink with.
But of course, silver or not silver, steel or cardboard straws. Am I right?
Of course. I think I've got a bamboo straw lying around somewhere.
That's very cool. That's very hipster, but very
Thank
cool.
you.
I appreciate that.
You can't be in Cape Town and not have your own straw.
Yeah, that yeah, it does sound like a bit of a crime if you don't. Yeah.
Like the number of things I've ordered and not gotten a straw with it.
Do you prefer to drink with a straw then?
If it's like a frozen marg, I need a straw.
What?
Yeah.
No, you chug straight from that rim. That's why you've got the salt.
And then you have to wait for this like slush to like fall into your mouth. It's just like use paper straws. Give me a straw. I'm not the one polluting the oceans.
Yes, but no, I think you're fundamentally missing the point of a frozen margarita. It is to get that slush into your brain. You want to consume it fast. It's not about the little from
but the straw is the quick delivery system. Now I have to wait for the stuff to move at like a glacial pace into my mouth.
That's the anticipation. It's like, oh, I'm about to get fucked up in 2 to 6 minutes. And then this massive slide comes into your mouth. It's brilliant. But instead, you're just like, little tidbits at a time. That's not the Simone I know. The Simone I know likes to chug.
I feel like I've matured a little bit since we last went drinking together.
This is all very disappointing news.
Can I say though, when alcohol is allowed again, I am so keen to get myself, it used to be called a Corona-rita, but I doubt it's going to be called that anymore. It's when you get a frozen margarita and you put a Corona beer in it.
That actually sounds really good.
It's real tasty.
That sounds on point.
And it gets you toasted.
That sounds unbelievable. Oh damn.
On a hot summer's day, a nice cold drink of that. Oof.
Chef's kiss. Beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway.
Dreams for when the world's better. Dreams for when the world's better.
One day.
One day. Well, in the meantime, tell me about Alice in Wonderland, please.
Okay. Alice Kingsley, played by Mia Wasikowska, is a strange girl in 18th century society whose dad always inspired her to think differently and be different. Unfortunately, society does not see it that way. She is going to be married off to fuck me. There's so many people.
Ascot,
to Lord Ascot. Whose actor is not listed immediately. Well, she's supposed to get engaged, but while she's at the party, she spots a white rabbit. Predictably, she follows it and she falls down the rabbit hole. The adventures are what you would have seen in Disney's original animated Alice in Wonderland. She grows too big. She grows too small. She runs away from things. And the whole time people keep telling her that she's not the real Alice, or like they need to find the real Alice because somebody's got to fight the Jabberwock, and she's very confused. But she does make friends with the Mad Hatter, played by Johnny Depp. She makes friends with the White Rabbit, voiced by Michael Sheen, the Cheshire Cat, voiced by Stephen Fry, the Blue Caterpillar, played by Alan Rickman, the Dormouse, played by Barbara Windsor, and the March Hare, played by Paul Whitehouse. Oh, and of course Bayard, voiced by Timothy
Mhm.
Spall. He's a bloodhound and he's perfect.
I have feelings about the Bloodhound, so we'll talk about that in a
Ooh.
bit.
Goodness, okay.
It's where I've put my hill. This is the hill I'm dying on. Is
Okay, it's a
Bayhard, so this
specific
should be
hill.
fun.
So her enemy is the Red Queen, played by Helena Bonham Carter, who wants to release the Jabberwocky for reasons, or at least doesn't want Alice to kill her Jabberwocky. It's not very clear. So Alice goes on adventures to save the Mad Hatter. While she's there, she infiltrates the Red Queen's castle, steals the Vorpal Blade, escapes to the White Queen's castle, White Queen played by Anne Hathaway, and the whole time she's like, oh, I don't know if I'm Alice, I don't know if I can kill the Jabberwock, and they're like, no, but really you have to. And at some point she realizes that she has been in Wonderland before when she was a kid, and we realize that this is actually a sequel to the first Alice in Wonderland that Disney did all those years ago, and it was animated. And that, for some reason, gives her the gumption to slay the Jabberwock, even though she's been pretty cool about not killing things up until that point. But we'll get into it. She slays the Jabberwock. Everybody dances about it. It's horrible. She goes back
You
home.
mean they don't dance? It's futterwhacking.
Ugh, fuck
They
off.
futterwhacking.
Futterwhacking right off. Okay, she goes back home. She decides no, she's gonna live her life her way. She's like, I'm not gonna marry you. And then she talks to the man who bought her deceased father's business, and she's like, I think we need to expand more. And he's like, yeah, you be my apprentice. And last we see her, she is on a ship heading off into the unknown, happy and fulfilled, and living her own life. The end.
And then we get this beautiful song by Avril Lavigne, which just encapsulated the
It had to be
2010s.
Avril. It had to be Avril, okay?
Who could it be? Who else could it have been?
Who else
but
was it going to
Avril?
be?
No, impossible. So what's your cliffhanger for this one?
It's got to be this one, which is the stupid fucking speech Alice gives to the Mad Hatter where he's like, oh, am I mad? And she's like, yes, all the best people are. And it's like a callback to what her dad used to say to her. And like when her dad says it to her at the beginning of the movie, you're like, oh, this is definitely going to come back. And then they bring it back, but they really shoehorn it in.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like this whole scene is just really strange and awkward. Like he's called the Mad Hatter. It's a really weird moment for him to be like, am I mad?
Am I
and
mad?
she's like, yeah, but it's fine. Like, what?
Yeah, this movie does feel very forced in so many places like that. And it's purely just for the jokes and the fact that this is now public domain, so they could just fuck around with it and like there's no real repercussions for, you know, essentially bastardizing the story. Simple as that.
Look, I'm not too concerned about bastardizing the story purely because Lewis Carroll was problematic.
Really? I didn't actually know that. I mean,
so
I can
he
imagine
wrote
he
Alice
would
in
be,
Wonderland for his niece, who he had a crush on.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing. It was yeah.
Oh, why do these people make me sad all the time?
I'm
Can
sorry,
we
but
just
I feel
fucking
like we can separate the author from his works. Like I feel like at this point Alice in Wonderland has been like so taken over by pop culture and like our culture over time that it really isn't the same as what Lewis Carroll envisioned it for.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. I agree with that. It more belongs to the public than it does to Lewis Carroll. Yeah, but that's really sad. All I want is just to hear like one old school author who was just all right, like didn't have any of this nonsense. Just, you know, it would be nice if it was just like, oh yeah, you know, Charles Darwin, really nice guy, collected bicycles.
Why did you go for Charles Darwin?
I was just thinking, like, I was thinking old school people with a beard. That's just all I wanted.
I'm not going to mention Roald Dahl.
Stop it. Don't. This is like finding out that Santa doesn't exist. I shan't be having it today.
Well, lips are sealed.
Not during the vulnerable stage of 2020. When we're thriving, then maybe you can tell me. But my heart can't take it right now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm sorry. I already ruined one person for you today.
Exactly. So, I mean, how do we feel about this in comparison? I'm assuming you've watched the old original Disney animated film. What do we feel in comparison?
So Okay, I have a lot of feelings about this movie because when it came out in 2010, it was
Mhm.
for me. Like I
Right,
was
yes.
the audience. I was 17. I was not like other
Yes.
girls. I was like I really really was on that high horse about like being weird and liking
Uh-huh.
fantasy and reading a lot and like, you know, liking Tim Burton.
Mhm. I was about to say, you could very much safely bet that if you didn't have a Nightmare Before Christmas hoodie, you definitely had some apparel with Nightmare Before Christmas on. Like, I could safely put a bet on that.
And you would win money on that bet. I loved Nightmare Before Christmas. I loved Corpse Bride. I still love Coraline,
Mhm.
and I love all those movies still.
Right.
And so I highly anticipated this. I remember at one point, like we had a themed party, my friends and I, for the theme was the Mad
Amazing.
Hatter's Tea Party. It was, which is a really fun theme for a party, decorations wise. You get to go
Yeah,
wild with colors.
absolutely.
It's delightful. And I mean, tea party, so cakes and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this movie came out at like the right time for me. I'm pretty sure I
Mhm.
still have photos somewhere of us like that we took at the mall after we finished watching the movie. You know what I mean?
Beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
what a 2010 was just such a simpler time. God, I miss those days.
10 years ago.
10 years. Well, 11
Well,
now,
oh, fuck
essentially.
off.
I know, very scary.
Christ.
I saw a post today, it was a comic book, and it was like, oh, I love old movies. And the other guy goes, yeah, me too. Shrek came out 20 years ago. And I almost threw up.
Are we just ruining
How
each other's day
unacceptable.
today? We're just going back and forth.
Yeah, it's by the end of the podcast, we're just gonna be like, I actually never liked you. We were never supposed to be friends, and now I feel obligated to do this podcast.
Please don't. I can't.
No, that is definitely not the case. But yes, Shrek came out 20 years ago, so do with that what you will. We're old now.
I've known for a while. That's why
Oh
I've got
god.
this nice
Okay.
diffuse lighting on me for the YouTube
Mhm.
videos because it hides a lot.
hides time. Okay, I want to discuss
Yeah.
Bayheart, the depression dog.
Oh,
Okay, I really am not a fan of characters in stories who are just there to be really depressing and are only there to be like say depressing stuff. Like there's that one kid in the Harry Potter series, especially in Prisoner of Azkaban, who's got two lines in the whole movie, and he just goes, and it's both of them are just shit shows for Harry. The first is about like the Grim, and he basically explains the Grim to Harry, and it's a super Debbie Downer.
isn't
Then
that
later
the
he comes
Irish
back
one?
up.
Isn't it Seamus?
No, it's a little fat black kid. He's great. He just
Oh.
like he's in that movie to be the depressing kid, and then he fucks off for the rest of the time. He gets transferred out. Who knows where he goes? But
The
then again, it
Grim.
is J.K. Rowling, so of course he might just be disappearing because he's black. Who knows? And then later he's just like, oh yeah, Sirius Black is like smoke. You just can't catch him in your hands. And it's like, well, fuck, thanks, kid. Thanks for
Okay,
just cheering the mood up.
so of all
Christmas.
the like bummer stuff happening in that movie, what upset you was the dog who had like legitimate reasons to be disillusioned.
Yes, because all like if you're gonna have a dog, don't make him one of those sad looking dogs with the droopy mouth. Because it's too sad.
you
And I
have
can't
against
be
basset
dealing with his
hounds?
nonsense. I don't have anything against basset hounds who are happy, but this guy is just super depressing. And it's just like, oh,
Okay.
I cannot be dealing with you
Can we
today.
just say his wife and children were kidnapped and held hostage by the Red Queen, and he's forced into enslavement?
Yeah, I'm not
It's
saying
not like
he doesn't-
he's like depressed for no reason. And in the end, he does save himself. Like he does help everyone with the rescue efforts, and he gets reunited with his wife and kids, and he's pretty chipper after that. The rest is just his face.
Yeah, you say that, but he still has that like whole attitude when he's with the White Queen, where he's
I
just like,
think you're
oh,
reading into a
okay.
lot. I think you picked a character that you decided not to like, and it was a weird one.
No, it's not, because then in the second movie, which we will discuss later, he comes back and as depressing as always. Oh, Mad Hatter's all sad and shit, and I'm like, of course you're
Everyone
the one
says
giving
that.
the news. Yeah, but he gives the news first. He's straight in there. Debbie Downer comes to the fray, and he's just like, "Yes, this is my time to shine. I cannot lose." And he just fucking spreads his depressing shit again.
This is a very
I'm done with
strange hill
Bayhart.
to die on. Like, I'm not even
Most of my
sure it's
thoughts
a
on this
hill.
film
I
are
feel like
Bayhart.
you've just convinced yourself it's a hill.
Yeah, for a character who probably gets what, like 4 minutes of screen time, I'm very, very upset with this
Strong
dog.
feelings.
Yeah,
But actually,
I
I'm going to
think
repeat
he
your
was my least
question back
favorite.
to you. What do you feel about this movie compared to the like Disney original, like animated movie?
So like, I haven't seen the original animated movie in a long time,
okay.
but
Yeah.
from what I remember, it was really, really fun. And I was, again, also 17, really looking forward to this film because I was like, yeah, Alice in Wonderland is a really good concept. And you know, it was about that time where like Korn had had released that album with Alice the Wonderland cover. It was like 4 years before that, and I was still into Korn. So I was like, yeah, this might be like a really grungy, you know,
Yeah.
take on it. And obviously because it's Tim Burton. And yeah, like, to be fair, until you mentioned there in your synopsis that this was supposed to be like a like quote unquote sequel to the original one, I did not clock that. I thought this was just like a weird Tim Burton retelling of it.
No.
But I like enjoyed the fact that they like brought in the Jabberwock and, you know, had all that kind of thing, because the Jabberwock is like essentially a very cool poem and it's a very cool character. So I was very excited about that aspect, even if it wasn't as whimsical as the first one. That's what I thought this one definitely missed. It didn't have the whimsy.
Yeah, I think it did. This movie did what like I would do if I were writing a short horror story, where I'd be like, okay, but like, what's everyone's trauma? You know, like Wonderland is clearly like Alice trying to cope with her grief and the fact that she feels like she doesn't fit in anywhere. And like the Mad Hatter's got PTSD, and the Queen is like just wants someone to love her, and Crispin Glover's there for some reason.
For some reason.
Like it's very, I mean, I can't bash it too much because I feel like I would have done it eventually.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think it does miss the point of like it just being this really trippy, weird journey that this precocious little girl goes on.
You're absolutely right.
But to be fair, I was never a huge fan of the original one. I was a very practical child, and this movie frustrated me a lot. People just she asked questions and people wouldn't answer them, and then stuff happened and she's like, I wish that wouldn't happen, and they're like, haha, too bad, guess what? It was just an intensely frustrating thing to watch. She doesn't have a lot of agency in that, and I suppose like in this movie they're like trying, like, you know, she's like, no, I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna do my own thing, and she like takes back her agency, and there's like the girl power moment at the end, which is so I hated it.
Yeah. And rightly so.
Because
it's that early 2010s disingenuousness of trying to be feminist, and it just
because if they built up that she like had an interest in her dad's business, or like her dad had been like grooming her to take over the business, or that like she had a real aptitude for this stuff and that's why she didn't fit in with everything else, but they don't. All they give us is like one scene where she's like, sad her dad is dead, she's like, Mom, I hate corsets, and then at the end of the movie the one dude's like, oh, how would you like to be an apprentice? Like, is that all it took?
Yeah. In the 1800s, and her just doing like a weird little dance, and then she's like, yep, this is all fine. This old white man is just like, yes.
Have you cringed harder in your whole life?
It was spectacular when she just like in the middle of that party just does that one little movement.
Even when like, Johnny Depp's Mad Hatter does it, like it's
it feels really weird that they would climax on that moment. You know, you've defeated the Jabberwock, everything's great, fantastic. Like let's finish it off now. Let's put this to bed. She goes back home, she fucks off and everything. Oh no. Futter whacking. We shall futter whacking first.
Break dance for us.
Great. This is what we needed. Yeah. Do you think Johnny Depp fought for that scene and Tim Burton was just like, I really fucking hate this, but you are very, very, very powerful in Hollywood?
I can't say who fought for that scene, but I hate them.
Yeah, yeah. I think as well, I think my biggest problem with this movie, and I think it is the curse of the 2010s, is the fact that everyone thought that animation would just not get better. It was like, right, golden age of animation, here we are. This is it. Nothing can possibly look better than this. So we're going to do the whole movie in animation. And it just,
Yeah, it was clunky.
yeah, and look, it was really good for the time. Like at that time, you were like, shit, this is actually really good looking. But then 10 years later,
Yeah.
11 years later, it does not hold the test of time. It's like going back and watching Shrek. I remember watching Shrek in the theaters and being
it was
like, this is incredible.
revolutionary.
Yeah, but if you go back and watch it now, you're just like, this is horrendous.
Things I did like. I really liked Helena Bonham Carter as the Red Queen. She was so
Right.
funny.
Yeah.
All of her scenes were actually really well done. I love the little pig that runs up and then she can put her feet on its
Yeah.
belly. That's really cute. And she's like, "Come here, fat boys. Watch my fat boys."
I love my fat boys.
Yes.
I love them. I love my fat boys.
She played that really well. And I really liked Anne Hathaway's White Queen, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? I thought it was a little
She's
I
just
didn't
real weird.
like it.
That's why I like her.
It is that one great scene where she does run up to Debbie Downer Dog, where she's like trying to be like really floaty and stuff,
Yeah.
and then as like everyone walks away, she just like full on pegs it, which I thought was really, really nice.
It was real cute.
But yeah, it was all right. Yeah, but I do think Helen Bonham Carter was the best role in this.
Yeah, for sure.
Clearly, Patrick Stewart only got paid enough to do one line, which I also thought was one of my
Who was
favorite scenes of all
Patrick
time,
Stewart
just
in
because it was so fun.
this?
He was the Jabberwock.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
Yes,
I missed
for
that.
a single line.
Well, I bet he got paid more than everybody else.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's probably why they only gave him one line, because it was really funny, because he did his line as the Jabberwock, and then Alice cuts his tongue out, and then he doesn't speak for the rest of the
Do you
thing.
think he and
I
Tim
was like,
Burton had a fight?
I would have loved that. I would have loved to know the reason behind that. But yeah, essentially he was just like one line, and then Alice is like, no more talking for you, and then that was it. And the Jabberwocky doesn't talk ever again.
I will say the casting for this was really fun. I, as always, love to
Yes.
see my boy Michael Sheen. Stephen Fry as the Cheshire Cat, amazing.
Mhm.
Alan Rickman as the Blue Caterpillar, perfect.
Yes. It was a great casting move. The second I heard that it was Michael Sheen, I was just like, Simone's gonna love this without question.
I just love that man so much.
You really do. I mean, I'll put it in the show notes for this episode. But I sent Simone a couple of videos of Michael Sheen just being adorable about social enterprises the other day, and it's just the most delightful thing you'll see
Such a
for your
sweet
entire
man.
week. Love
What?
him.
How did
Absolutely
you
love him.
feel about Johnny Depp's Scottish accent?
Hated it. What was
I
the
thought
point?
it was relatively
Simone?
well done in my limited
No, okay.
experience.
You're right in the fact that like it was well done, but why was it done? Why was he switching between an English accent and a Scottish accent?
he's
It made no
mad.
sense to me.
It's also, I don't know, is it racist or classist that the moment he was like getting dark and like crazy, he would swap over to a Scottish accent?
It says a lot about what everyone thinks about Scottish people. I think that's quite a horrible stereotype. Yeah. But yeah, it was suspect, to say the least.
I just wanted to know. I wanted some perspective on
Yeah.
that because I was like, I mean, this is a choice.
Yeah, that's definitely what you can call it. Very, very much. I feel for Michael Sheen because he's the curse in a movie where whoever he's up against in terms of like the main actor, they just have to do a stupid accent when he's around. It's just his curse. As soon as he's
People
brought
try
into
and
the
show
movie.
off.
Yeah, so you've got Robert Downey Jr. doing his terrible Welsh accent. You got Johnny Depp doing this good Scottish accent, but for no reason.
Oh, I'd forgotten
Like-
about Robert Downey Jr.'s Welsh accent in front of Michael Sheen, who is in fact Welsh.
Welsh, very wrong. Very wrong.
And I find Michael Sheen's Welsh accent adorable.
Yeah, it is. And it is so cute because it's just the friendliest accent and he is the friendliest man. These are just things. Yeah. So what is your scene that could have saved this one, Simone?
Oh man. I think we could have mixed it around a little bit. So
Uh-huh.
throughout a lot of the movie, Alice keeps insisting that she's like in a dream. Like this is her dream.
Yes.
And that's a little bit supported at the beginning because she keeps seeing elements in the real world that correspond to stuff that she's seen in Wonderland. Like she sees a blue caterpillar hanging around, and she meets those two twins that like to talk a lot. And like I wish that they'd held that mystery like a little longer, right? Like you're already
Uh-huh.
going into like, oh, is this a metaphor for how alone she feels? Like stick with that. And the way
Right.
obviously that you do that is you stay with Alice the whole time. But the
Right.
way that they structured this was sometimes there were a lot of scenes where Alice wasn't there, but you still saw what was happening anyway.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that like then it feels kind of stupid for her to be like, oh, this is my dream, this is a dream, because like you as the audience are like, it's clearly not.
Exactly. You actually make a really good point, and I mean that's just good storytelling
You
more
know?
than anything, because it suspends the belief, because everything that you're
Yeah,
seeing
like
is through her eyes.
exactly, let it be like a mystery just a little longer. Like if you're gonna get psychological with it, like, have the audience be like, did Alice hit her head, and is she imagining all of this? And then she has the revelation where she's like, oh my god, I've been to Wonderland before, it's not a dream. And then you can go off to whoever else's perspective you want.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good plan. Yeah, I think that's good storytelling for you. I think, go back to Netflix, and we need to get them to hire us again.
Netflix,
This is
come on
ridiculous.
guys.
Netflix, hit
Amazon,
us up.
you know what, we'll do it.
Well, yeah, that's
We'll
our
entertain,
as we've
we'll
said. That's
entertain
our
some offers.
yeah. We're not picky at this point.
We are not.
Beggars cannot be choosers.
Jeff Bezos, we didn't mean all that stuff we said.
Wink. My scene is definitely, I just would have liked a decent pep talk for Alice to actually become the champion of Underworld, or whatever it's called, because she's just like, all of a sudden it's just like, oh well, I guess you are Alice, and now you're gonna fight the Jabberwock. Like that's it. There's no like, oh, you know what, you can become Alice. Alice is just a fucking idea, and you can instill her, something like that. And she's just like gets fired up. Like we needed that gumption that made her decision to go and fight the Jabberwock, I think.
Even like if her like moral decision is like, I don't want to slay anything, like she's made friends with other creatures that have tried to kill her earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
So like couldn't they have done sort of an Avatar Last Airbender thing, and she finds like a peaceful solution instead of killing the Jabberwock? Like maybe slaying the Jabberwock didn't have to be quite so literal.
Yeah. It
Just
could have
like
just
if
been
that's
like
like if
slaying
that's a
the evil
point of tension for her, and she's like, I don't really want to kill anything, then like let's explore that.
Yeah, that's a good plan. I mean, it would have gone, I guess, you can't really say it would have, it's not really an argument to say it would have gone against the original text, because this movie has very little to do with the original text. So yeah, you have a really good point there. Okay. And finally, would you watch this again, and would you recommend it to people?
I would probably not watch it again. Like I'm done now. But I think visually it is still very, it's Tim Burton, so visually it's still very pretty. I think the performances are solid. So it's not like an unentertaining movie. I think maybe if you have like a middle school aged girl to watch it with, that would probably be a good one. Or even younger, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But
yeah, kids are mature these days.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, check it out if you're interested. I don't think you'll be totally disappointed if you watch it.
No, I gotta agree with you. Like, I think I'm done with this film now. I've watched it too many times, but I know what's gonna happen in like 5 to 10 years time. It's gonna come up, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. That was quite fun. And then I'll watch it again and be just as disappointed as I am now. But yeah, I completely agree with you about watching it with like, I think every 17 or younger girl should watch this. I don't honestly, Simone, know the next time I will probably be alone with another teenage girl. Probably a good thing. But yeah, I would recommend it to friends, sisters who are of that age in a generally, public place that's well lit with many, many people
Just,
around.
Let's all be apropes here. Let's not let the Lewis Carroll
Yeah.
legacy carry through.
Yes, please, and thank you. Right, shall I tell you about the even more disappointing sequel?
Please do, because like I told you, I fell asleep halfway through, so I missed a little bit in the middle there.
Well, this synopsis is not going to help you with that.
Awesome.
I am also very glad that you said Mia Wasikowska's name first, because then, I can get the pronunciation right.
Not
So
convinced
thank
I
you
was
for that.
right.
So we join Alice, played by Mia Wasikowska, a few years after her adventures in Wonderland. She is the captain of her own ship that her father left her, and she's been traveling the high seas for the last 3 years. After a run-in with some pirates, she decides to come home to London. On her arrival, she learns that things are not good. Her mother, played by Lindsay Duncan, has had to place a bond over the house because there is no money left. She's also sold their shares in the company of which Alice's father had been a partner before his untimely death. She has also bonded the house to Lord Ascot, played by Leo Bill, who, as you might remember from the first movie, proposed to Alice and was publicly humiliated when she turned him down. After his father's death, he's become the head of the company, meaning that essentially Alice works for him now. Because he still feels scorned by her, he says that she is no longer allowed to be a captain because she's a woman, and that Alice could sell the ship to Lord Ascot in order to redeem the bond over the house. Alice is completely distraught and doesn't know what to do. That is, until she sees a curious blue butterfly, which she recognizes to be Absalom, voiced by Alan Rickman. She follows him until he seemingly flies through a mirror. Alice is a bit confused, but quickly joins him by passing through the mirror too. She's now back in Wonderland. Things seem to be better than they were the first time she visited, but there's one problem. The Mad Hatter, played by Johnny Depp, seems to be rather out of sorts. A couple of months ago, he was playing around when he found a small paper hat lying semi-buried in the earth. This confused Hatter because this paper hat was the first hat that the Hatter had ever made. It was impossible for it to be there because he had given it to his father when he was a child, and his father had thrown it away many years ago. But that gave the Hatter an idea. If the hat was there, it meant that his parents might still be alive. See, many years ago, during the Fraptious Day, when the Red Queen, played by Helena Bonham Carter, attacked the people of Wits End, she and her trusted Jabberwocky killed the entirety of the Hatter family. Or so they all thought. The fact that the hat was lying in the dirt makes Hatter think that they are still alive. Unfortunately, no one believes him, so he starts to die because apparently the Hatter's life force is derived from other people's approval and not from the usual stuff like oxygen, food, and water. Alice also doesn't believe him, and so this sends the Hatter deeper into his depression and closer to death. The White Queen, played by Anne Hathaway, tells Alice that the only way to save Hatter is to go back in time and see what really happened to the Hatter's family. In order to go back in time, Alice will need to go and visit Time himself and get the chronosphere from him. So that's what Alice does. She goes to visit Time, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, and asks him if she can borrow the chronosphere. He emphatically says no, because without the chronosphere, the grand clock, safely in the grand clock, all time would stop. Alice, not heeding the warning, steals the chronosphere anyway. Shenanigans ensue. Alice travels back in time with Time swiftly on her heels, trying to get the chronosphere back. As Alice travels back, she also learns how the Red Queen's head became so large and why she and her sister had a falling out. It's not super important to the storyline, so that's all I'm going to say about that. Alice then learns that on the Fraptious Day, the Red Queen didn't actually kill Hatter's family. Instead, she captured them and made them really tiny and kept them in an ant farm. In the end, Hatter and Alice are able to save his family, and just in the nick of time, they return the chronosphere to the grand clock, ensuring that all of existence isn't wiped out. Alice returns back to London and basically tells Ascot to fuck off. She and her mum start their own shipping company, and all is well with the world. The end.
What's your cliffhanger?
So it has to be this one, and it's the scene where Alice doesn't believe the Hatter's story, so he turns into like a massive dick. Like, I love this bit because essentially the Hatter is not a good friend in this film whatsoever, because he's just like, oh, I think my parents are still alive, and everyone's like, well, kind of the evidence says that they're not, and he's just like, well, we're not friends anymore because you're not on my side. Simple as that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure like what their exact like point was with the whole Hatter subplot, because like Yeah, if your friend's having a mental breakdown, you don't have to agree with what they're saying. It's,
Absolutely.
you know, she could have been like, listen, I understand you wish they were still alive. This is really weird. Like, I'm sure there's a logical explanation for it.
Mhm.
Like, let's find out together. But like, you don't have to be like, oh yeah, you're totally right. And you certainly don't have to be like, huh, maybe my friend having a mental breakdown is onto something. And then like, she's made to feel
Yeah.
like a dick because she should have believed him. His name is the Mad Hatter.
Exactly. It is genuinely ridiculous that he has this reaction, and it's just really uncalled for. And it's supposed to be the whole basis. It's the call to action for this movie, but it makes no sense. Because if I like started acting mad, like
Yeah.
completely out of my mind, and like came to you with a proposed crazy theory that's so unlikely, you're not just going to be like, we're friends, so yes, absolutely. And in
Yeah.
the same vein, you wouldn't expect me to react so badly that I would be like, no, we're not friends anymore. Get the fuck out. That's not Simone. Leave. Like, that is insane.
And on top of that, like, it's such retconning that his family is alive, because then we're supposed to believe that throughout the whole first movie, the Red Queen knew his family was alive because she hated the Mad Hatter because, like, she had this vendetta against him for humiliating her. Like, hated him with a vengeance, has him in her castle. At one point, he's in favor with her, right? Because he's making her hats. And at no point is she like, oh, by the way, I've got your family upstairs.
Yeah,
Like, she doesn't gloat. She doesn't mention it. She doesn't, like, on the sly to Crispin Glover, like...
Yeah, apparently no one in the entire of Wonderland knows about the fact that that had his family. Like, this is the most well-kept secret. It's very weird. I feel like this movie is just a whole bunch of subplots that don't make sense. Because you've obviously got the Hatter's sub-story, you've got Time's sub-story, and then you've got the Red Queen sub-story. And none of them in their own right are strong enough to carry this movie, and so it all just kind of falls apart because you're like, the writers are just like, oh shit, we need to conclude story B, don't we? And they're just like, okay, quickly, we'll write it in. Insanity.
I feel like this movie happened because they wanted to do a sequel, but also they wanted to do a prequel. So they were like, let's do both. It's a time travel plot. Call Sacha Baron Cohen.
Time travel is the death of any film.
Oh my god, yeah.
We've seen it from Tenet. The man...
We've seen it from Endgame.
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
spoilers.
actually a much better point. Yeah, but like, yeah, how do story writers... It's obviously the hubris of a story writer that they just become so hot and so big that they're just like, I can fuck with time and it's gonna work out perfectly.
This is gonna be... No, guys, this time travel plot, this one's gonna make sense.
Yeah, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Endgame, and Tenet are the three that are coming to mind most strongly. And all three of them are like tour de forces, or should be, and yet time travel. And now you're going to put it into a Tim Burton film?
Come on.
No.
Yeah.
Come on. You're better than this, Tim. You've been through so much to this point.
And then at the end, she's like, no, Mom, like, you're more important to me than the ship. And her mom's like, well, fuck them all. We'll start our own company, even though it's made like really clear that they're broke.
Yeah, that's the other question, right?
Like, how are they,
like...
did they find other investors? I guess, like, Alice must have a reputation as a good sea captain, right? Like, she sailed the seas for 3 years and she was pretty successful. Maybe they found another investor, but it's never made clear.
No, they were just like, right, let's
start
this company.
They really rushed that ending.
Yeah, it was very, very strange that they suddenly had enough money to like get a reputable office right on the seafront,
and presumably a fleet of ships,
cool.
Right? Because they're opening trading routes.
You would think so, but it also just looks like it's the one ship.
Also, in the first Alice in Wonderland, it's made clear that they're opening the trading route between England and China.
Yes,
and we know how that goes.
Superb work. Let's just, you know, I know it's very hard to talk about the 1800s without like peppering a little bit of colonialism in, but this was just really wonderfully overlooked.
Yeah, I was like, Alice, don't.
This shall not end well for you, or Britain,
Or China.
or China. Yeah, or China, let's be fair. So, is there anything in particular that you did like about this movie?
I always enjoy Sacha Baron Cohen. Did I think his character
Yes.
was slightly useless? Yes.
Yes.
But I think he's a great character actor, and I find him weirdly handsome.
Your vibe with Sacha Baron Cohen, I'm
I
so
just-
perplexed. It's an enigma
We've
wrapped in a
talked about
mystery
this.
to
When
me.
he's in a serious role, he's a hottie.
You're a very perplexing creature.
He's a very
I'm
charismatic man,
vexed.
and I don't know. Something about his face works for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We all have our vices, and apparently Sacha Baron Cohen is yours.
Look, do I just like love men too much? There's such a range.
I genuinely have nothing to say to that. I am speechless by that comment. It's so perfect.
I don't know.
What can
He's
you
just
say?
got a vibe.
What can you say? He's got a vibe. To be fair, in this movie, I definitely think he is the best thing.
Oh, yeah.
That scene, there's that one scene where he walks through the hall and he's just like, stupid hall shape, me-shaped hallways. And I was like, that is fucking funny. That is
And
brilliant.
the dialogue was cute, where he refers to time as me because he's time,
Uh-huh.
and like the confusion around that. I thought that was very cute.
Mhm.
What else was nice? There was that scene where she went back in time, and everybody was like cute little babies. That was cute.
Oh yeah, that was nice. Seeing Tweedledee and Tweedledum as like
Yeah,
little
Bubba's running
rounder
around
shaped
and
things.
little tiny baby Cheshire cat. Apparently, they all went to elementary school together.
As you do
As
in
one
Underling
does,
in Wits
yes.
End. Yeah. Did you ever read Alice Through the Looking Glass?
No, I did not.
Very weird book. Very weird book. So apparently, like, there's an intro to the copy that I've got. I think it's the Collins Classic version, which just sort of explains their movements through the book. And apparently, it like really follows a chess game. So
Oh.
he like mapped out Wonderland, or Underland rather, and he made sure that the characters that Alice traveled with could only move in the directions that they would on a chessboard. I don't know how conducive and excellent that was to the overall story, because
Yeah, I'm
it is
not
a
sure if
very weird book.
Chess is necessarily what you want to use to plot your novel, but whatever works for you.
Yeah, I think this movie was doomed from the beginning, just purely because it is based on a sequel to that is incredibly weird, which is based on a sequel to an incredibly weird book. Because Alice Through the Looking Glass, the novel, it devolves into complete nonsense.
Yeah.
So to base a movie off of it it's just insanity. Yeah. Really hated the Hatter in this one. Like, straight up couldn't stand the Hatter in this one whatsoever.
I do feel kind of bad for the character, because I think he was just sort of used as a convenient like device to move the plot forward, right? Like Alice is like, she's so desperate to save her friend, and it's like, what is he dying of? Like, he's dying of like people not believing him, like
Not
he's
believing in him.
Tinkerbell, and so like she keeps getting these reminders like, oh, remember, this is a matter of life and death, which, like, is it?
Is it really?
Is it?
I think Hatter needs to be a little less dramatic.
Because she's in such a rush. She doesn't think to just ask time, like, oh, hey, is this family, like, are they in the dead room or are they in the alive room? That's all she had to ask. She had to ask one question.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I'm gonna steal your thing.
Yeah, it's just, she's just a brat. She was really just a horrible human being in this one. And then there's that scene in the middle with when she's in the psychiatric hospital, and it's just like, what? Why is this a thing now?
What?
When did she get back?
And Andrew Scott is there?
Look, I mean, we can always be happy that Andrew Scott is in a movie.
I was thrilled to see him. I don't mean to.
We'll never disparage that gorgeous man being in anything.
He could make a cameo in literally anything, and I'd be thrilled.
Yes, but in this movie, the fact that scene was forced in there, damn, unacceptable. Yeah, very, very strange. very,
Especially because
very
it wasn't, I mean, look, he's sexy and everything, but it wasn't that sexy a role for him because he was talking about female hysteria. So I don't know. If you're into it, I don't want to like yuck your yum, but he wasn't the sexiest
That is
mental
a-
asylum doctor he could have been.
There are so many bits of that sentence that I'm just completely in love with. I think that the paramount of it is definitely the yuck your yum,
Yeah.
which I think I will use for all time now because it is my favorite thing. Yuck your yum.
I love
This has
saying it.
always been a podcast that doesn't kink shame, but
No.
now we are the podcast that doesn't
And
yuck
look,
your yum.
I could get behind Andrew Scott as a sexy doctor.
Oh,
I think all of us
yeah.
could.
Sexy priest, sexy maniacal evil man.
Don't bring up Fleabag right now. I cannot. My God.
This is not the rabbit hole we want to go down.
No.
No. So I want to talk a little bit about the queen subplot. Do you think the fact that the White Queen lied about stealing a tart is a strong enough reason to have this feud for so long? Do you think that is a justifiable thing? My question is purely rhetorical, but please do go on.
I sense the answer that you're going for. So like their whole thing is that like if the White Queen hadn't lied about not eating a tart and blamed it on her sister never would have dramatically run out of the door. And if her mother hadn't like weirdly taken her side with no question and played clear favorites, like the parents were a real problem there, then the Red Queen would have never run out the door and hit her head. And apparently that made her head slightly bigger. And she was like really insecure about that. And apparently no one did anything to make her feel better. And then when she was getting coronated, they didn't measure her head properly for a crown for some reason. So then it doesn't fit. And then everybody laughs at her. And her parents are like, oh, clearly you can't handle this. So we're going to let your sister take the crown for some reason. Like, yeah, that's what I want to see my monarchy do, is just like casually change up siblings. And we're led to believe that it's like her sister's fault and not like the horrible parents.
Yeah, straight up. It's it makes no sense that she would be so mad at her sister. And also for the White Queen, like whose character is all about graciousness and decorum, to not have apologized for some 15 years, that does not make sense whatsoever. Even like in private, like that night after the whole accident, like your sister has just been through a really traumatic experience and you're not going to apologize because you feel even the slightest bit of guilt.
You're even going to try to get a note to her.
Yeah, nothing for 15 years. 15 years you didn't apologize. What a bitch. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's insane. Also, the fact is, like, she's obviously very self-conscious about her head, right? She's a kid. Kids bump their heads. This was not going to be the first or only time that she's going to bump her head for it to grow larger. Like, it could have happened any stage. And yet, her, like, that's her whole character. Like, that's her whole arc.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's one thing for then the White Queen to feel like it's all her fault and none of this would have happened if she hadn't lied. But they don't address the fact that that's not true at any point. Like, at no point is someone like, hey, actually, there were a lot of circumstances out of both of your control. And it's unfortunate that things turned out this way. You know, for example, the Red Queen could have also been a bit less of a bitch, let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be fair.
But like, it's not addressed. They're just like, well, there was this misunderstanding when we were children. Alice couldn't go back in time and change it. So now the White Queen's just going to take responsibility and they're going to make up. What?
No, that's outrageous. Like, could you imagine you and Max having this kind of fight? It would have been over. Like, you would have forgotten about it, right? Like, I'm sure both of you have done worse things than this.
Like, we've had some pretty intense fights. But yeah, this is just like such a bizarre scenario. It's really bad parenting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had some bad fights with my sister. I don't know if I'd necessarily let it escalate to her committing genocide before I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, you are very strong-willed, but that is a whole different level. And I don't think your sister, no matter how hot-headed she is, would commit a genocide over a spilt tart.
No, I don't think she would, but who's to say? Her head
Who's
is
to
very
say?
normal sized. If anything, it's actually quite tiny.
Who knows what will happen with Max in the future? She may commit genocide.
Watch out, guys.
So for this one, scene that could have saved it, if anything, because I mean, there is so much that could have just been changed.
God, yeah, there are so many things. Like, I feel like this movie needed to find what its point was. Like, I feel like
Yes,
the
good
first
point.
movie was very clear, like, it's okay to be different. Being different is a strength. Lean into
Mhm.
it and be yourself. Bam, perfect 2010 movie point. This
Yes.
movie just had a lot going on. It was like, you can't change the past. You have to believe your friends. Family is important. And that's
Yeah,
it.
but there's no justification for that argument. Like,
Yeah, there's really no justification for it, except for like the weird stuff that they like force into the plots. It just feels like they wanted a lot of different things to happen, and they made those things happen,
Mhm.
and they tried to shove some themes in there or some lessons in there, and they didn't
yeah.
really feel that enthusiastic about it. And then they had made a movie.
Yeah, they were able to get enough stuff together to produce. I think this was almost 2 hours long. Actually, it
Oh
was
my God,
a
it was
very
so
long
long.
film. So they obviously just had enough shit to put together a movie. Maybe these were all just like bits cut out of the first one that we were just like, yeah, we'll just throw it all together.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. And yeah, it just feels like, I think you said the perfect word right at the beginning, which was clunky. This film is clunky. Yeah, straight up.
Yeah. And what's your scene that
for
could have
me,
saved it?
it's straight up just taking out that bloody awful medical psych center fucking scene,
Yeah.
which makes no sense. So
Shoehorn
basically,
Andrew
like,
Scott in literally anywhere else.
he could have been Father Time's assistant, little daddy time.
Oh, little daddy time.
Yeah, little sexy name for him. Yeah, you got
Oh,
time and little daddy time.
daddy
Sexy.
time.
Daddy time. But yeah, it just made no sense to put this film in. Basically, it's opening up more questions than they have answers for. Like, how did she get out of Underland? How did she get back into Underland? Why is she fucking here? Like, it makes no sense.
Like, even when they pull her in initially, they're like, oh, thank God you're here. The Joker's sad. And at no point is she like, yeah, I'm actually really going through a lot right now. Like, I'm having a huge crisis with my family. So, like, how sad are we talking here?
I'm sorry. Let's just go back, because in my head, when you said,
Joker.
"Thank God you're here, the Joker is sad," I'm just imagining Batman coming to Arkham Asylum.
Say Joker.
It was perfect. Batman,
mean,
thank God you're here. The Joker is sad, and then he's just in his cell. He's crying. That's actually what Alan Moore's the Killing Joke is actually about. It's just Joker being really sad.
Holy unresolved PTSD, Batman.
Oh no, stop it. That was perfect. Oh my God. Oh, too good. So would you watch this film again?
No, I would give this one a miss. I think you can watch the first one and like be happy with how that ended. And like, because functionally this one ends pretty much the same way. Like, there's slightly more empowerment.
Yeah.
And that's it. So yeah, I think you can skip this one.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it doesn't have a catchy Avril Lavigne song right at the end, like, it's just very upsetting.
Yeah.
Or even like, just thinking about it, just like a really interesting Chad Kroeger song right at the end. But since Avril and Chad are married, why not just have Chad right at the end? Just, you know, the worst of the pair. Why not? just really fuck it up, man. Yeah, I've got to agree with you. There's no point to watching this movie. I mean, if you were a really big fan of Sacha Baron Cohen, watch it.
I mean, but also you can see him in so many other things.
Yes, that he is so much better in as well. Yeah.
Spy,
I mean, alternatively,
Trial of the Chicago 7. If you want
so
comedy, he's in Sweeney Todd. That's also with Helena Bonham Carter, so that's great. He's in Les Mis if you want to go through that.
Have 3 hours to kill. Yeah, I think, although I would definitely watch this film again now, just on the basis that in my mind I will now make the Mad Hatter the Joker from your fucking spectacular joke. And everything he does now will be seen through the lens of the Joker, which just makes it a far superior film.
I mean, are we convinced that that wasn't what Johnny Depp was channeling a little bit? Like, he's still a little bleak. He didn't get cast, you know?
Yeah, that must have been this was his audition for the Joker, and just didn't hack it, and
Oh,
instead
really?
now we
Jared
got
Leto,
Jared Leto.
guys?
Yeah. How mad would you be if you lost that role to Jared Leto?
I would be
Like-
mad if I lost anything to Jared Leto. I really don't like him.
Wow.
I don't like
What is
him.
wrong with the enigmatic cult leader who now believes himself to be Jesus Christ? Like, what's your problem with the guy? I don't understand.
I disliked him before he was a cult leader. I just want to throw that out there.
I would straight up join his cult because he is insane and I love it. I also have a thing for cults. You know I have a thing for cults.
You would be so easy to recruit. I'm honestly shocked you haven't been recruited sooner.
Me too. I'm very scared to live alone at the end of this year because I'm gonna be in a cult by January 2022 without
Okay.
question.
Just promise
be
me
prepared.
if anyone approaches you in a mall and offers to like give you an audit or you know, bring you to it, just a support group for people trying to get along in life, just tell me, Chad.
But that sounds perfect. You can come and join me. We'll do that. Yes, I'll tell you so that you can come and join me.
I feel like I'd have to just to be like, yeah, Chad, this is the moment we're leaving.
Yeah, I wouldn't be even within the cult. Like I wouldn't be able to see it. No, not even a chance.
Simone, if we just pay in $50 more,
We can eat ghosts. We'll be able to eat ghosts. Do you not want to eat ghosts?
and that's gonna help us find jobs.
At this point, we'll take anything. Let's be fair. We jumped through enough hoops anyway.
Yeah, if I have to join a cult to find a job, I mean, isn't that what working
Scientology
for
is there.
Amazon is anyway?
Yeah, very good point. So, Simone, thank you so much for joining me down this rabbit
Thank
hole. This
you.
has been an interesting week, has it not?
It's been a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah. So, tell me then, what is your gratitude for this week?
My gratitude for this week. I have really dear, lovely friends. I have had a lot of
Mhm.
friends this week email me, message me, being like, hey, I know someone who needs some copywriting done. I know someone who needs some work done or some editing done. Would you be keen? And obviously I'm like, yes, I'm super keen. So in that way, I've been able to make a bit of extra cash. And it's just so nice. Like, people don't have to. Well, I've never expected people to go out of their way to help me find something,
Mhm.
and it's just really sweet that I have friends who thought of me and do think I'm competent enough to do that, and yeah, are just in my corner so hard. It's really sweet.
That's really awesome, dude. It's good to have like a group of people around you who
Yeah.
can, you know, support you like that and who believe in you
Yeah.
and who want to be there for you, which is really, really cool. It's a good boost, especially when you are feeling low about searching for jobs and stuff. It is nice
Yeah.
to have that backing. Yeah.
And what about you?
Yeah. So it's a tie. It's the tie between the fact that I actually had a weekend this weekend. How insane is
Oh.
that? I was able to finish all my work by Friday evening, so I've just taken the whole
Damn.
weekend off,
Ugh.
which is just so rare. It's something that
Yeah.
I never get to do. So literally yesterday, I just like pigged out, ate so much crap yesterday, and I just sat in front of the TV. I fell asleep. It was incredible. It never happens. It was incredible. So that's the one. And then the second one is I woke up and it was snowing today. How magical is that? That's like a glorious thing.
Oh, lovely. And you said you were out there making some snow sculptures. Did you do some snow angels?
Yeah.
Were you all whimsical
I-
about it?
I didn't do some snow angels. I did the snow sculpture. I threw snowballs around my cats because they were like, this is their first experience of snow as well. So they were
Was
really
it
enjoying it and they
cute?
loved it. It was super cute. They loved it. They were going nuts for the snow. And then obviously you don't want to hit a cat with a snowball. So I was
No.
just throwing them near them and they were going berserk for it. Like as the snow would hit the ground and like impact and like spray up, they would like go and jump on it and like try and pounce on it. It was super cute.
Have you tried blowing bubbles for cats yet?
I have not. I
It's-
think that is definitely something we need to do.
It's really fucking cute. Once
Yeah,
the snow stops, you should try bubbles.
I shall. That is something I will do. That will probably be my gratitude for next week.
Yeah, take some
but yeah.
pictures because it'll make you cry.
Oh yeah. So precious. So Simone, do you have any ideas for next week? Because I do.
Oh God.
But
Whenever
you
you
go
say
first.
you do,
I've done.
no, I've got nothing. So
This is why. This is your incentive to try and come up with something before I suggest something.
I know,
So
and every week I'm like, damn it.
Simone, you and I, very much like Fergie, are always up in the gym working on our fitness. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes, I would agree with that statement.
Look at the hesitation and fear in your face.
I was like, I guess I can't lie. I do be up in the gym working on my fitness.
Well, in that vein, Simone, I'm thinking that next week we should do gym and fitness-based movies.
Okay.
Very niche genre.
No,
Took me
but-
absolutely ages to find.
Yeah, that's good.
So you've got a choice of 3.
Okay.
And because it is the trilogy year, we are breaking rules a little bit because only one of these is below the 50% quota. But, you know, trilogy, fuck it. So you've got Pain and Gain, which is a rock film.
I have seen it. Yes.
Have you? I have not. I'm so excited. We've got G.I. Jane, which is Demi Moore, which I was shocked that it only got 51%.
In that movie.
Great movie, excellent movie. And then finally, you've got Kickboxer, which is Jean-Claude Van Damme, 1989. It looks horrendous. So it's up to those 3. Which 3 are you feeling? Which 2 are you feeling?
I've never seen G.I. Jane, so I feel like I'd really like to do that. And then
Cool.
I want you to decide between Pain and Gain and Kickboxer, because I've seen Pain and Gain. I don't want to influence your decision.
Well, I really can't stand late 80s fighting movies, and I love The Rock, and it's been a while since we've done The Rock, so I'm gonna go Pain and Gain on this one. I think you've got to do G.I. Jane because of just like strong feminist goals, and I'll do Pain and Gain. Are you excited about Pain and Gain since you've seen it already?
I watched it a while ago, but I remember my main reaction being like, wait, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?
Oh, good.
So I'm excited.
I think it will also be a really good one, this one, because it's sort of like the testosterone week before we go into the girl crush week with our guests.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, with our future guests.
Yeah. Yes, very exciting. So it'll be a real roller coaster of emotions leading up to this. Very excited.
No,
this
that's
is your
gonna
call.
be fun. I've been wanting to see G.I. Jane for a while, so
it's awesome. You're gonna love it. It's brilliant. So thank you guys so much for listening.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. What are you guys excited for coming up? What's your gratitudes? What movies are you watching? What movies are you not watching? And yeah, tell us all the things that make you joy and happy in the new year that it is 2021. We're almost out of January. How fucking crazy is that? Where can the people tell us all these things, Simone?
they can tell us on Facebook and Instagram at Fresh Tomatoes Podcast, on Twitter at Fresh Tomatoes MP. They can email us at freshtomatoespodcast@gmail.com. Link down below is our website. Link down below is a bunch of stuff for Black Lives Matter, because they still do, you guys. And we also have a bunch of links to our sponsors. If you use them, you get money off and we get a little bit of a kickback. So everybody wins.
And that's what we love to do, is everybody winning. And as we say at the end of every episode, we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.